Bring me Peter Pan. All right, that's enough of that. The doggies are going to be barking all night because of Halloween. I apologize for that. We've shut the door just so that they're not big time yappy, but we'll see what happens. We're going to go over to our regular recording screen. There's one thing that I want to show you before we go into the map making today, and that is a little Halloween gift to everybody. I decided to commission Stephen Belshaw to make us 3 new Legomorphs. So we've got these 3 cute little guys who are wearing their Halloween costumes. So we've got a Dracula, a werewolf, and a Frankenstein Legomorph. I am still working on a Halloween story, but I'm thinking that's probably going to be like mid-November by the time that's done. We had a little vacation last week, which is why I wasn't here doing maps last week or anything like that. So with that in mind, you still get some more Halloween goodies as we get a little closer to convention times. But we'll take away from that, and we're going to look instead at the map that I've been working on a little bit. I wanted to put a little bit of kind of shape to it. My goal is to try and have this map done by the end of the day tomorrow. Maybe on our stream, maybe beforehand. We'll have to see how that works. The ultimate goal of November is that by the convention, I'd really like to have 3 more maps done, because that'll get us up to the magical, the mystical, 50 maps. By the way, I don't think I welcomed everybody, so welcome to the stream. I'm Mike D'Angelo, aka That Tellest Guy. I had a little bit too much sugar today. Happy Halloween. Let's look at this map a little bit. You can see the map is extra long because I think this is the first time that we're connecting maps left to right using the resize tool that I've been showing people how to use the last couple of weeks. So we can see the Singing Stones map that we already had. We had that phosphorescent tree with the offering basket. We have the thorny flower. We've got the Singing Stones themselves, which is the hand of the Titan, and then we've got the hollow stump. But once you get to about here, that's when you make your way into this next map over here. We wanted to have some connective tissue so that if you were getting both maps on digital or in our jumbo mouse pad size, that you'd be able to put them side by side. So that resize tool, world of a difference. I can't believe that I didn't realize that that was there the entire time. Makes it a lot easier to make that connective tissue between the 2 maps. What we're going to do, I don't actually have the ability to use my phone right now because I'm using my phone as my camera. I use ninja.video to help to make me look presentable and things like that. And of course, all my points of interest list that I've made, they're all on the... You're not supposed to be off. Well, you've died. All my point of interest list is on my phone, so we're going to have to try and put together an idea for what we can do here. So let's just poke around in the stamp set. I don't think that they added anything new recently, so we're not going to go too crazy looking for things that we haven't seen, but let's take a look in Core real quick. And then Core is not doing what I think I want it to. So let's check out Forest. Farmstead's not a bad place to look too. I don't want to do a house because we just did the Witch's Hut before I left for vacation. A Fae might not be a bad thing to play around with. Actually, I like the idea of... So this is a fireplace, but you might be able to use it as like a mystical door. So we can use like something like this. I'd want to tuck it away, whatever we're doing, to try and make it look like it's not just randomly there in the woods for someone to find. I might use that idea not for this map, but for something in the future. But I really do like the idea of kind of like a moon door. Let's see if we have the regular fireplace and we go to advanced settings and we go to hue. The actual stone doesn't change too much. So you can use something like this and it kind of, it's another teleport mechanism that you can use. I really like that. Again, I don't know necessarily that with this map it makes a lot of sense because we already have a lot of real estate being used up by the road, by the cave, things like that. But using this in the future could really work out well for us, I think. And maybe we could have something like that in the future too, where we have it like hidden away in a cave. But for now, let's not use that. Let's poke around and see what else we can do. So we're still in Fae. Again, I don't know necessarily that I want to do a house or a building or anything like that. Let's just look at the regular. The forest doesn't really have a lot to work with. All right, let's think about what kind of fun stuff we could do. Well, I guess first off, let's throw together some trees and stuff like that. Put together some more goodies. I definitely want this to still feel like it's part of the forest. I'm going to leave a little bit of space between these two sets because I don't want to kind of overstep. I think that's okay. Actually, while we're playing around here, we'll go to our battle maps. I'm going to sneeze. I apologize. Excuse me. Let's see. Singing Stones was back in August. That was our 28th map. This is actually our 46th map that we're working on now, so I have 3 more to do after this. Let's open this real quick just to see where things terminate on the edge of the map. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares to the, well, 4 squares to the east of that little mushroom that's growing there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So everything here and over is free game. So I can technically move this tree into position there. Let's get one of these trees. What do we got here? Change the angle up a little bit and have it feed into that side a smidge. Got a couple of these summer bushes. And that one I can kind of move around. Grab one of these little planty dudes. Throw that under there too. Give it a little bit of character. Alright. Now we've got this big open space down here, so that's probably going to be another fun point of interest that we can play around with. So let's, again, we'll go through the catalog, see if there's anything that jumps out at us and speaks to what we want to do. I don't think that there's going to be anything from the forest. The forest, I feel like across all of our maps, has been kind of tapped out. Let's see if there's something that doesn't really make sense in a lot of other... Oh, drat. Give me 1 second. I accidentally just tapped Photoshop. Hey, look, it's the hat I was just wearing. Let's see. Deeply religious. I didn't know that these hats were here. I've got some work to do. We've got a blinder hat. We've got all these hats and stuff, but we don't have too many medieval helmets lying around or anything. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze again. Excuse me. Try and close that before it screws up the embed. Ooh. That would be fun. I feel like that's too big. I don't know where I would put it. You know what? Matt has done this before. Let's do some ruins. I drop this down to 15? And what I'm going to do is drop this to... Actually, that's still too big. Yeah, the area that we're playing with, I feel like, is just too big to play around with. If I drop it down to 10, does that do the trick? And it kind of looks like it could be like a wizard's tower at this point. And then I think what the plan would be is I don't need the shadow, right? If I drop it down to the background, we don't lose the shadow. And I kind of want to make sure that wherever we place it, it's not as shadowy, because we don't want these walls to be super tall or anything. Where would our entrance be? I feel like that could have been our entrance right there. Let's do something like that. Let's mess with the shadow so it's not quite as striking. There we go. We've still got some shadow there. It's just not super duper bothersome. And we're going to flatten that to the background. And we're going to go back to our kind of color here, or our texture here. Just playing around with it a little bit right now. Because what we want to do is ultimately give it a feeling of history. We don't want it to be something that's just dropped down and that's it. So I think what we're going to start with is a lot of this rubble's got to go. I'm actually going to put on my Parblo glove. It's getting dirty. Got to dust my monitors. We're going to drop it down a little bit more. And we're going to start with these big piles of rubble. And actually, one of the other things that I'm going to do, you'll notice that with the background style that we have, there's these kind of areas where there's a lot of vegetation that's not growing. So those are the spots that we're going to leave alone. So over here, the rubble's still going to be there, but over here, just going to paint a little bit in there. So we want it to look like it's been overtaken by nature somewhat. So you still see the rocks a little bit. Definitely over here. Might lose it completely over here. I like that little pile there, so we're going to keep that one. Put these ones here. And these ones over here definitely lose. This will be a nice little side entrance into the ruins. There we'll lose. Keep a couple of those ones there. That's all good here. We're actually going to lose that whole pile because it looks a little silly being halfway visible. Okay. Any other big piles that I need to lose? I actually think that's a good fit right there. I do kind of want, well, I mean, the rubble's there, it can be walked over, that kind of thing. Let's throw a couple of other stones in there. Matt is going to yell at me if I don't do that anyway, so let's go and get our stones. Pile of ruins might do what we need to do. And that way we can throw that in some of these dirtier spots. So it looks a little bit more like they've stuck around there. And then this way, the nice thing about it too is Inkarnate certainly has its template, but this makes it look different enough where, you know, it's not 100% what they presented you with. So now we have two big points of interest on the map. We've got the cave and we've got the tower. Maybe the two are related, maybe not. And what we could do is, when it's time to make variants, we could do something that shields the cave. So like we could put another couple of trees around here and make it look like that it was never there. So we give players or the GMs the option. So one of the things that we can do is we can throw a wizard circle down here. I don't want it to be a magical summoning circle. I want to try and make it like one of these pedestals. I think that there's another one somewhere in this set. Let's see. Maybe in like Dwarven. And it might not be like a wizard circle at that point. It might be something else. We've got the sacrificial bowl. Fountains and such. No, I must be misremembering it. So we can go down here. I was thinking that there was like a more gray kind of color that we could use. I've got this blue summoning circle. And we might make it gray. Yeah, we'll make it desaturized. We're going to change the opacity a little bit to look like it's been a little bit overtaken by nature and stuff. We're gonna do one step further with that. We'll throw this to the background, and now we'll go back to the textures. We're gonna drop this as far down as we can. We're just gonna kind of paint in here. I don't know that that's gonna look great. See, that doesn't really do what I want it to do. But what we can do is find another texture that does what we want it to. See if there's some like moss or something that we can use. Let's see if... I want it to almost look kind of like viney, but I don't want to use the vines that they give us. Let's do something like this, and it makes it feel a little bit more homemade. And just for S's and giggles, let's go through and find like a flower that we can throw on there. Don't really want to throw a rose down there. A fey flower might make sense. We've got deadly nightshade. Deadly nightshade might actually... I kind of like that, to be perfectly honest. So in low res, it's not going to look great, but in high res, we'll certainly be able to play around. Well, hello again. Sorry about that. That's the first time, I think, in like 100 streams that I've had to do that, which is pretty impressive for somebody who's got lactose intolerance. And I ran up the stairs, and I should have taken a moment to take a breath, but I didn't do that. All right, so the good news is I did think about some other options that we could have for this map, and I think part of what we're going to do is fill in some more trees. We're going to get a couple of small ones just to fill in the area a little bit. Maybe another one that's kind of halfway beaten up over here. The idea that I have, I want to twist that around so it doesn't look like it's the same tree in both spots, is, and we've got the northwest quadrant, the sort of center area of the map, and then down here what we're going to do is have a fallen tree. We're going to have it just be a full-on big tree, not broken up or anything. It wasn't decaying or anything. The idea that I have is we're going to make it bigger than that. There's going to be a pit underneath it because this didn't fall on its own in the forest or anything like that. It's something made it fall. So let's see what we have from our pit perspectives or holes or something like that. We've got the brick stairs hole. Let's see if in watercolor, if there's anything that we can use just as a basis. We've got the spike pit. Doesn't really do what I want it to do. Let's head back to the battle maps and see if there's anything that I can use to, you know, serve as the basis of what we're trying to do, and then kind of manipulate that. I'm actually very surprised that they don't have this stuff. We could use a hollowed out tree. Could be good for like a guideline. Let's take a look at the brushes and see what we have. So the idea that I have is we've just got chunks of pit. That size isn't going to be right. Let's change the opacity and change the color. Well, the placement has to be changed too. We're going to change the size so that it's much smaller. Let's change that to about 30. That might even be too big. And it's certainly too bright, because the idea is there's this big old tunnel underneath this tree now that you can go down into. I like what we have as far as the color goes. I don't know that I like. We want it to be smooth, but I don't know if I like the roughness just yet. So the idea is that the stump just completely got beat up and fell down there. Now we've used the kind of cliffy looking things before in the caves. Let's see if we can manipulate this in such a way that it can be used for these purposes. We might change some of this up as we go. When I went downstairs, my one dog was sulking because we shut the window so that we wouldn't be bothered by their yapping. She's so sad. I feel so bad for her. She'll be all right. So I think what we'll ultimately end up doing is using these cliffs and then changing the... Oh, I don't want that to be like that for that. I'd like to kind of close that up. So again, we use this kind of as like a basis for the shape of what we were making, but I think we're going to kind of close it up into a nice circular look. But we'll change the color of this to make it look a little bit more muddy, we'll say. And right now it's not going to look fantastic in low res, but when we convert it to high res, it really ought to look nice. All right. So we'll use that. Let's lock the tree down real quick so that when we grab all these, it's not causing us any problems. And we don't have to deal with the hue, but we should change the brightness. And saturation will bump up a little bit so it looks, again, a little bit muddier. I actually really like that added contrast too. But I think to go even a step further, let's come back here, go to the color, we'll go to the brightness and change that. And what we can do actually is one side of that can be even darker. So it looks like walls that are going down, but then the player should know if they find this that they can go this way, and it might expand beyond that. Might not be a huge, tunnel or anything like that, but there's something going on. So while we're here, let's throw together some other trees because we want to block that from the player's view. We don't want it to be something that they see right away and, do whatever they want. Okay, that is... Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to throw that there, and then when it's time to... Oh, that needs to be bumped up. When it's time to do the next map and move one down, we'll use that as the way to do it. And I think the next time that we're going to do things, I'm going to have to do things a little bit differently in that... we never connected these two down here. This one was the very first map that we made, and it's going to be weird doing things the way that we're doing it now. So I think what we'll do is I'll print these out as a stamp and throw that on here, print this one, throw it down here, and then that way we know definitively what it should look like from one side to the other. Let's see. So we've got 3 points of interest right now. I do need that fourth one. So let's poke around. We still have to put a lot of stuff into this because we need to make it look like it's more natural. But at least for now, we have a sense of what things look like. Put some bushes down. I haven't found something that I really like as far as what to do just yet. This will distract me. Let's throw some stones around the cliffs. That's the kind of stuff that Matt will yell at me about. I've got these little core guys. I think 30 is an okay number. No, 30 is a little too big. Let's do it 20. Okay. One of the other things that I want to do is throw a tree up there. Doesn't have to be a tremendously big one or anything like that, but I want to have something up there. Because I want to take this look that we have here with those leafy, you know, what is this style called? Forest floor and grass. Well, we're going to use forest floor. We're going to change that to about a 50 and start to color some of that in a little bit more. A nice grassy feel. Maybe that. I don't know why. It feels like 49 is doing a lot. Oh, you know what? Did I make a whoopsie over here? I didn't, but it looks like I did. Just because of the way that that tree is shaped. So we'll do that. Come back here. Throw a little bit of those leafy greens in there. Definitely a little bit more over here. Maybe even some on the road itself. Gives a little bit more of a lived-in feel. And let's grab one more tree. Let's look over here. Is there anything over here that we liked that we could kind of steal? Couple more plants and stuff. Alright, 102 changes. This is a decent amount. We'll save that there. I might use most of tomorrow to muse on what the fourth point of interest could be. I mean, technically we don't really need a fourth point of interest. I'm so gung-ho on it that that's usually what I do, but maybe we've got enough going on where we don't need that. We've got 5 more minutes to poke around, so let's see if there's anything that speaks to us. What about something like that? What about bunnies? So we've got bunnies under our shed. And I wonder if... Alright, bear with me. I have no idea if this is going to work. So insignificant, and yet I feel like it does the trick. I cannot for the life of me see which direction the darn thing is facing. Oh man. Alright, we're not going to use that one. We'll use these ones. Oh my goodness. So we're going to do that. And we're going to throw a couple more of these guys on here. And let's see if we can't find something with a sparkle. Let's see. We have like a gem. We've got this desert gem that we can use. And that's not small enough, so we're going to have to go even smaller. And we're going to say that these little bunnies are thieving bunnies. So keen eyes might see that something is there. And let's do something with light. So insignificant. It's nothing crazy or anything like that. Any kind of like X's or something like that. We've got these guys here, which is way too big. However, if I dial it back a lot, like it still needs to go down a smidge. Let's come in here and go to, the brightness really doesn't do too much. Still need to work on it a bit. So we're going to do that, and then another one. And both of these we're going to fade out a little bit. We'll do one at a time. 0.6. There you go. You can see it a little bit, but not a tremendous amount. Throw a couple more plants on there just to kind of sell the idea that there's something different over there. Flowers growing against the cliffs. Oh, you know what though? Just realized a dumb mistake that I made. These need to be opaque. Alright, I honestly think that for the 40 minutes that we played around with this map, we did a decent amount with it. Still need to do more. I want to try and touch it up a little bit more tomorrow, but we might even be working our way to the next map after this one tomorrow, and begin on that. I believe that is our first Sky Island map, so we'll have to play around with that a little bit, but all things considered, that's pretty darn good. I'm pretty content with what we managed to pull off in so short a time today. So I'll save that for now. We'll start to think about what other things we can do to this map, and then maybe tomorrow we'll do variants, and then we'll start off the stuff that we're going to do for the Sky Islands map. And that's specific to an area of Tellest that we're going to start telling stories in. Just haven't gotten the chance to yet, but that'll wrap us up for today. So let's go to our show closing screen. So folks, on the screen right now, what you should see is a bunch of the places that you can find Tellest content. You can go to tellest.com to see all of the, it's basically like our link tree. It's where it points you to all the great places that you can find Tellest stuff, and then all the other links on here that you see, you find that stuff there too. Tellest is also really great if you want to see art weekly, if you want to see the short stories that we release, or if you want to see the other writers and authors that we promote, because we do a lot of that over on that website. Patreon.com/Tellest is where you can see a lot of our battle maps when they're done, including the high-res versions and the variants. It's also a place where Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays you can see new art pieces that we put up way ahead of the stuff that you see on the Tellest website. Yeah, I would actually very much like a chalky note, thank you. Yeah, on Patreon, I think we're like 2 years in advance at this point because of how much quicker things move on Patreon than they do on Tellest, on the website. So you get a lot of cool content there. If you want to catch these videos well after Twitch takes them down, because you can only hold them here on Twitch for a little while, you can go to youtube.com/@worldoftellest. We'll try and clean up some of these, like today's where I was on intermission for an extra long time, just to make sure that that's a good experience for you. But if you do want to see these live, the only place to do that is here on Twitch, twitch.tv/thattellestguy. If you want these maps when they're done and they're in physical format in these giant 38-inch, I think 40 inches by 20 inches, huge mouse pads, you can get that on our Etsy store at tellest.etsy.com, along with Rihanna's Weird Witch wands and posters, stickers, bookmarks, art books, the whole shebang. You can get that at Etsy, tellest.etsy.com. I still have to do this work to get Rihanna's TikTok channels on here, but they are Tales of Tellest, TAILS. That features our doggies. There was a decent amount of content just today that released because of Halloween. You should go over there and check that out. And then Weird Witch Wands, it's WYRD. That's where you can see her making of content for when she's working on her wands, and that's really cool looking as well. That will wrap us up for today. We will be back tomorrow around 7 p.m. and we'll finish up this forest map and then get ready for the next one. So thank you for joining me, and I'll miss you.